Every week we focus on Bible prophecy for a few minutes. Most of the time we discuss trends out in the world that you would expect when you read future prophecy. I try to be careful to point out that we're not claiming these trends are the actual fulfillment of those prophecies. It's just things that seem to resonate and set the stage for what the Bible talks about. When we talk about Israel, however, it's good to be reminded that the rebirth of Israel as a nation is a miraculous fulfillment of ancient Bible prophecy. The fact that Israel is a nation in their own land is, prophecy fulfilled. And if people say, well, show me a miracle, all they need to do is look for Israel on the map, because it definitely is. Something unusual and astonishing happened in Jerusalem. The article I read in the Jerusalem Post was titled, "Jewish Prayer Has Returned to the Temple Mount." May not mean a lot to us, but I don't know if you realize it or not, but Jews are not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. And so this is huge for Israel. And so let's read some excerpts from the article. Jewish worshipers are able to pray on the Temple Mount with what appears to be the consent of police forces at the site, the Jerusalem Post observed during a visit there on Thursday. Despite the insistence by Israel police that there has been no change in the decades-old policy, Jews now pray in full view of the police. Led by Rabbi Eliyahu Weber and joyfully singing, "Let us go up to the temple," a quorum of 10 Jewish men ascended the Temple Mount on Thursday morning at the beginning of non-Muslim visiting hours, 7 a.m. The group began the typical counterclockwise tour of the site, accompanied as usual by several police officers. It began at the Mughrabi Gate and worked its way around the eastern side of the esplanade, stopping at various points and eventually leaving out of the chain gate on its western side into the Muslim quarter of Jerusalem's old city. Upon reaching the eastern gate of the Dome of the Rock Shrine, Weber and the group of Jewish men and 2 women stopped for between 5 and 10 minutes to recite a cantor's repetition of the central Amidah prayer, including the components for congregational participation. A Cohen, member of the priestly line, gave the blessing to the worshipers that is part of daily morning service. The prayers were recited in full view in the immediate proximity of the police officers escorting the group around the Temple Mount, and they afforded the worshipers the time they needed to complete their prayers. Weber said that ultimately he wishes to be able to pray in a more orderly and complete fashion, with the correct prostrations required for prayer at the Temple Mount, and with the use of prayer shawls, all of which is not possible at present. The final goal, however, is to rebuild the temple. The ultimate goal is to be able to offer sacrifices in the temple, Weber said. So this is a remarkable step actually towards the rebuilding of the temple, that they would be allowed to pray. It seems something that we take for granted, but this is a big move. And we know that both Daniel and Jesus prophesied there would be a temple in the future Great Tribulation, complete with sacrifices reinstituted. For many centuries, well, for every century, really, after the Second Temple was destroyed until just recently, this seemed ludicrous. Now it seems like it's only a matter of time. I remember when I was first saved, they would talk about how there's going to have to be a war to blow up the Dome of the Rock and, all these crazy theories in order to get a temple built. And now you just see how they're just creeping towards it, building the implements, getting them ready, getting the priesthood ready, starting to pray. God giving them grace to do that. So there's definitely going to be a temple just the way the Bible predicts. Now, Jesus, we know, promised he'd return to rapture the church. He'd resurrect the dead in Christ of the church age and then translate from the earth to heaven all living believers. It is presented in the Bible as imminent any moment. And so as we see prophecy moving towards its fulfillment and understand what's happening in the last days, our eyes are fixed above on the coming of the Lord for his church. Are you ready for the rapture? If not, you need to get ready and stay ready and keep looking up, because ready or not, Jesus is coming.